You've got 10 minutes of fantasy football, lads. Maybe 15 at an absolute push. This is a new feature I wanted to put into this because I think, Tom, I mentioned to yourself, was it last week we spoke? Maybe the week before? The last couple of seasons? Yeah. Was it last week? I've not really wanted to get that involved with fantasy football because whenever I play it, I miss the Friday cut-off and I end up fuming with myself and so disappointed at least 5 or 6 times a season on a Saturday morning that I forgot to make changes, somebody's injured, etc, etc. So what I thought to myself we're doing, as I said to Tom last week, if I go all guns blazing into this and put fantasy football as a feature into the podcast, into the show, that'll prompt me to actually make changes on the fly, and that's kind of where I'm at the moment with doing this. So hopefully this works well for us. So Steve, just to keep you in the loop, so I've got my own fantasy football team. The Manchester's Blue Page has got its own fantasy football team built up of current City players and City players that used to play for City. And if you see, if you're watching this, you see streaming the codes, the cup code and the league code right across the bottom of your screen. Get yourself joining, everybody. We've got so many people that have joined this league. It's absolutely bonkers. Crikey, where do we start? Hello to AJ Lowe, Craig Cole, Mike Harris, Jamie Welsh, Jawid, Will, Rick Wench, Merv Helm. So, honestly, I can't read all these people out, but I'm really excited to see where we start going with this because we can start giving shout outs to the people that are leading the league, people high movers and shakers, people are getting top, people are getting second place, third place. Even the wooden spoon's going to be an offer this season, lads. There's definitely going to be people that have joined this league that sack it off after 2 weeks that are going to end up with about 300 points at the end of the season, isn't there? I think there's always that type of person in the league, so we need everyone to be paying attention to this. A quick fly through for the Manchester's blue team, Steve, just for your knowledge.
Yeah.
We've got Edison, Zinchenko, Trippier, me and Tosin Adebayo in defence. De Bruyne, Harrison, Sterling and Douglas Luiz in midfield. And up front we've got Haaland and Jesus. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put... they're going to change the formation to 3-5-2 because on the bench we've got Bazuna, Pablo Mari, Sancho and Iheanacho. So I want to stick Sancho and Iheanacho in that team as well because I think there's plenty of points to be had there for it. What about your two? What about your what formations are you going for fantasy football this year, lads? What are you thinking?
I've gone... What have I gone? 3-4-3.
Yeah.
I'm going for the opening week. I'm on a 3-4-3 with my team.
Why the opening week? Anything specific within that?
Just based on the players I've got in my team, I just think I've actually got Cucurella on my bench. I put him in when I built this, assuming he was going to come to City. He's gone to Chelsea, so it's still handy because he didn't cost me too much. But I just think on what I've got and the fixtures that are coming up, I think I've got my best team out there for this week, hopefully anyway.
Do you reckon Cucurella's price will go up being a Chelsea player?
I think he could do, yeah. I don't think he'll play for the first couple of weeks. I think he'll be on the bench for the first couple of weeks with him being a new signing, needing to get to. He certainly won't play this weekend. But yeah, I think I did it under the impression he comes to 6. As far as I'm aware, you're only allowed 3 players from one team. But if they get transferred in after you've had them in, you can keep them in. Okay. So I could have had the 4 City players in my squad, which was kind of the hope. But
yeah,
he's buggered off to Chelsea instead, which. His loss is, his loss. But, yeah, 3-4-3 for me this week. I'm hoping for some goals. I'm going after Chelsea. Mitrovic, Haaland and Jesus up front. Hopefully Mitrovic can find his boots in the Premier League for the first time. Even better this week if he does because they're playing against Liverpool.
Nice.
And what have I got? I've got Leon Bailey of Villa, Luis Diaz, De Bruyne and Pedro Neto of Wolves. And then I've got Trent, Cancelo and Reece James with Alisson in there. I've always had the rule that I wouldn't put Liverpool or United players in just because I don't want a reason to support them. But I've decided this year that I'm going to grow up and put some players in because I miss out on so many.
That's a very mature standing of you, Tom.
I'm like, I don't want anyone in from Liverpool because I'll be happy. Like, if Liverpool score, I'll be like, oh, Salary's in my fantasy team. But yeah, I just can't. I could never bring myself to do it. But this year, I'm trying to take it seriously. Got a couple of leagues that I want to win. So I'm growing up. I also have the rule that I don't have any United players in my team, and I've stuck to that this year, but that's only because they're absolutely terrible and I don't want any of my team anyway. Free choice.
It's funny you say that because I've stuck Sancho in mine. So I've gone for a really unique forward pairing. I'm sure you'd be extremely surprised to know I've gone for Haaland and Jesus up front. No one else will ever do that, surely. those two seem like the most capped players in the competition up to now. So I've gone to Haaland and Jesus up front. So I've gone 3-5-2 with Andreas, Salah, Mount, Sancho and Neto. In defence, I've got Alexander-Arnold, James and Cancelo, and Mendy in net. So I'm really chucking it forward there, and I'm hoping. Oh God, I can't believe I just said that. I'm going to say I hope Sancho has a good season, but I feel really dirty saying that. I have to have a word with myself when I finish this. But I kind of get the feeling this could be a good season point scoring wise for him. I think last season, don't think any United players had a particularly amazing one, but I think out of anyone within that squad that's got the ability to score a couple of goals and get a couple of double-digit weeks, I think Sancho has.
Yeah.
Oh. That's
Yeah,
terrible.
really wrong. I hope he has to
Yeah.
I think United at the minute are just a difficult one to choose from because you've got so much uncertainty with who's going to be there, who's not going to be there, who's going to play, who's not. So I may change my mind and chuck a couple of United players in further down the line. But to start with, I think you've got to just go with players that you know are going to play. You look at pre-season, the players who've had the most minutes, the players who've sort of like that. Leon Bailey from Villa has had a blinder of a pre-season. Gerrard's hyping him up to as much as anyone, and he's only 5 million. Like I think he's an absolute no-brainer. Pedro Neto of Wolves. I think Jimenez is injured. Neto might start as a false 9 the first couple of weeks, and he's a midfielder at 5.5. So there's just a couple of players there that would I have them in my team further down the line? Maybe not, but I think the first couple of weeks of the season they're a shoo-in to start. Wolves and I think Wolves go to Leeds, Villa go to Bournemouth at the weekend. Games which are maybe not necessarily definite wins, but certainly winnable games against weaker defences. So you just got to look into it, don't you? And I say all of this, I probably have an absolute stinker this week. I've just what's going on, but that's kind of my logic behind it.
It's always a way, isn't it?
Can I just give you a couple of options here? Because I've just done a quick search on Sancho and potential transfer out. So Sancho got 91 points last season, which is pretty poor in the grand scheme of things. I'm looking; he's worth 7.5 million. So I've had a look for other players at the same value. Ward-Prowse, 159 points. Bernardo, 155. Zaha, 150. Tossard, 141. There's loads of players that have done so much better than he did last season. I'm thinking to myself, do you know what? Chucking a Ward-Prowse in there instead might not be
Ward-Prowse is
such
a
an
nice
option.
one. He's guaranteed every set piece in it. He can score from free kicks. He takes all the corners. He takes penalties. And
he plays every game, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's a captain. He's going to play every week.
So,
You know, with Southampton this year as well, is that they're probably going to rely quite heavily on set pieces, scoring from corners, deep free kicks, and he takes absolutely everything. So he is a good one to have in your team. He's one that I'm not actually entirely sure why I've not got him in my team, and I might.
No, I've just.
I've changed him. We've gone. Sancho is gone. No United players in my squad. Ward-Prowse has just replaced him. Come on, Wardy lad.
I'm still immature and got no United or Liverpool players in my team. So I've gone Meslier in goal for Leeds. I've gone Cash, Lamptey and Cancelo. Odegaard, Kante, De Bruyne, Kulusevski. And then I'm hoping that my front three will just tear it apart. And I've gone Kane, Jesus and Haaland.
Managed to get Kane and Haaland in your team. That's quite impressive.
Because
take me through your defence again, pal. How did you manage to crowbar Kane in there?
So I've got Matty Cash, Lamptey and Cancelo.
Okay.
And then I put Kante in midfield, and he's only like 5.5 mil, I think. He might not play as much, and then I've got Odegaard, De Bruyne, Kulusevski, and then Kane, Jesus, Haaland.
It's an interesting.
Kane's first game is Southampton.
I'm looking at it now. 73.2% of the game have got Gabriel Jesus in their team. 73.2% of players. That's almost 3/4 of the whole. How many people are playing it? Like million, 2-3 million, whatever it is. Yeah. That's nuts. That's incredible. But for 8 million, you really can't question it. Again, I say you look at pre-season. He's had a blinder of pre-season. Arsenal's got it's a no-brainer, is it?
Yeah, because I've got Meslier at 4.5 million. Matty Cash is 5. Lamptey's 4.5 million. Kante's 5 million.
Yeah.
Odegaard's 6.5. So, I don't know how I done it, but I don't know.
I couldn't not have Haaland. I don't even know. Like I say, I just think you look at Haaland and you think he's got to score goals in this team.
I think all my front three have got games where they can score. I mean, Southampton for Kane, Crystal Palace for Jesus, and West Ham for Haaland.
Yeah,
I don't even know whether to get triple captain Haaland for the first week.
I'm genuinely thinking that. I've put my cock on the block and say Haaland's going to score a hat-trick this weekend, and then I'm thinking.
I've got it. I'm like, do I triple captain Kane against Southampton?
I'm sure 10 minutes ago you just told us you weren't very confident about the West Ham game, and now we're talking triple captain in Haaland.
only because he'll score my 2 goals.
Yeah, he's. I
don't know.
This is the issue I have. I never want to use my triple captain too early.
No, I know.
I forget about the game and give up, and then I never end up using it. Like I'm terrible for it. I always end up making really rash changes right early in the season, and end up with losing about 30 points because I transfer 100 players out in 1 week.
So I've captained De Bruyne. I just feel that's.
Yeah, I always have De Bruyne as my captain. You just expect him to get a goal or an assist every game, don't you?
Yeah, and I really like Kulusevski. I think he'll get me sneaky points on the side.
Kulusevski's a really good shout. I'm just looking at mine. I think Spurs will have a good season this year, and I've got no Spurs players in my team, and I need to probably address that.
Yeah, I've got obviously Kulusevski and Kane. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I need Ward-Prowse in there, and I'm gonna have to when we come off this this show. I'm gonna have to.
You know, we're all gonna be on the app as well after this, just looking.
Yeah,
why didn't I put Ward-Prowse in there?
It's tricky. It is tricky.
I should have kept my mouth shut, shouldn't I? I'm happy. No, this is what this is here for, to have this open conversation.
Yeah, I should have kept my mouth shut about Kante. I didn't realise it was only 5 minutes.
No, you can keep Kante, mate. He's going nowhere near my team.
A big shout for every single person who's playing this year is Danny Ward, Leicester's keeper, is 4 million, which is the cheapest a keeper can be. Schmeichel's just gone. He's likely to start at the weekend if he has a good game. He could be a number 1, and he will not be 4 million for long if he does get the number 1 jersey. Having a sub keeper that's as cheap as he can be, physically as cheap as a player can be.
What's his name? What do you mean gone? When you say gone, injured?
Kasper Schmeichel just signed for Lille, hasn't he? Or Nice? Is it Nice?
You're joking?
Yeah,
Kasper Schmeichel just signed. He's left
with Aaron Ramsey.
Has he really?
Yeah.
That's surprising.
Literally just confirmed within like the last hour or so.
Yeah.
But they've got 2 keepers. They've got this Iverson and Ward. And he's saying it's kind of a battle between them 2 for the number 1 jersey. They reckon Ward will start, so I'd get him in as your sub-keeper if you need to say.
Done. Yeah, thanks for the heads up on that.
Just a quick one. Just Chelsea, it's all been agreed for Kukurea, just for the fantasy. 52.5 million.
Plus that other fella as well, who's worth about 15 million. So in reality, they've spent about, upwards of 65 million quid on the lad. And you know what? I know you said it before, Tom, and I know we moved away from it, but I am very happy with the fact that City haven't gone out and spent over the odds for a player based on their valuation. Cucurella could turn out to be an absolute world beater, but I like the fact we've thrown a lot of money at players since we've had money that we really didn't need to throw the money at. But I like the fact that now City's board look at a player and go, we value him at this much money. And I know people turn around and throw Grealish 100 million into the argument, but we couldn't physically sign Grealish for less than 100 million because of the buyout clause in his contract. So Villa weren't for selling him. We wanted him. That is what it is. But I like the fact that City now have a budget for a player. Yeah. And if it's not working, we don't just go and throw an extra 15 million quid to Sheikh Mansour's a drop in the ocean, isn't it? It wouldn't break the bank. But I like the fact that we have budgets and we stick to them, and we're running this club as a sustainable club, a sustainable business model by where we're selling players for good amounts and we're buying players as well for amounts that we deem to be the right amount for the players.
And
so
it's working. It's working, isn't it? We're winning things and we're doing well. We're making money.
I agree.
Chelsea are no threat next season. Their attack is absolutely dreadful. Every game, if they win, they're going to win like 1-0. They're going to be the most boring team to watch in the Premier League next year. So I'm really not concerned by him joining a title rival. Because I think I don't even have Chelsea finishing in the top 4 this year. I haven't finished in 5th. But
wow.
I have City, Liverpool, Spurs, Arsenal next year as my top 4, with Chelsea in at 5.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Spurs and Arsenal's business has been better. I just think Spurs and Arsenal look like 2 more well-rounded, complete teams than Chelsea do at the moment. So I may be completely wrong, but got to put my neck on the line, got to throw it out there, and we can come back to it.
I don't think many people disagree with you with Arsenal. I think they've done really well. I think they're building a cracking little team.
Yeah, I agree with you, Tom, to be fair. What this might mean for the fantasy, though, is that Angelino looks like he's going to Brighton.
Angelino to Brighton?
Yeah.
Jesus. I've not heard any of that, but that's a good shout for a potential transfer, and if that does happen, because
they're in talks with Leipzig because he's just fallen behind because they just signed a left back from Hoffenheim, I think.
Oh, that I can't remember what it's called.
Did I hear left back? Did I hear left back?
Angelino back to City again for a 3rd time.
But yeah,
work out,
that could be one for the fantasy. Angelino, he'd be pretty cheap.
Right. I have a dilemma here, lads, and this is almost a Sancho-esque dilemma. I've got Salah in my team, and I have this is a bit sad. I generally have been thinking about this for the last 5 days, every day for the last 5 days, like chucking him out there and sticking De Bruyne in. To be fair, I based it purely on. It's purely based on last season. 265 points Salah scored, and De Bruyne got 196. That's a lot of points. That's almost nearly 100 points. Just like that's a big margin, that, lads. You know, can you two push me in the argument to say, actually, Tom, you need to be getting De Bruyne or even Bowen at 206 points, or even Son at 258 points? What's the argument to?
I'll tell you why I think you should have De Bruyne over Salah. There's 2 reasons. The first reason is that Liverpool are playing with a natural striker for the first time in a few years, which should hypothetically mean Salah creates less in terms of goal scoring opportunities, because rather than having a false 9 dropping deep and your wingers cutting in, hypothetically speaking, with Núñez in the box, Salah should be getting to the byline and looking to cross it. But my second thing is, for the same reason, because City now have a striker, I think on the back of that, De Bruyne will be affording more opportunities to score goals this year, on the basis that I think Haaland attracts the defenders and allows that space for De Bruyne to run into. And we've seen how clinical De Bruyne is from like the edge of the box. You've seen it in the Club America game. We've seen it last season for the past few years he's been here. I think that De Bruyne could, naturally Haaland would be your obvious prediction for the top scorer for City next year. But if you wanted an outside pick on who will score the most goals, maybe bar Haaland, I think De Bruyne will score a hatful this year. I think that Haaland's the natural, as a centre-half, it would be hard not to get distracted by Haaland. And when you've got De Bruyne running in looking for the ball to Haaland, the defenders are drawn with Haaland. De Bruyne gets in, nails one from the edge of the box into the top bins, and everyone's a winner. So I think De Bruyne's going to have another monster season.
Just think of the assists.
And that as well. The assists for Haaland.
He was whipping those balls in for fun last season, and I was on the end of it. And now he's got one of those clinic strikers in world football.
Yeah.
He plays for Liverpool, Tom.
Exactly.
No, I don't.
Like that.
No,
I thought we were being grown-ups today, lads.
I am. I'm still not. I admitted it. I'm not. I can't do it.
Right.
Yeah, I think De Bruyne this year. And again, the one other thing is, if you are playing, say on Sunday, City play Phillips, Rodri as the 2 holding midfielders with De Bruyne. De Bruyne has absolutely no responsibility on his shoulders to even have to think about getting back in defending, because he's got 2 defensively minded midfielders behind him, which gives him all the room in the world to create and shoot and score and assist and do everything that he needs to do.
This is where
he's just the best player in the world, isn't he?
Yeah.
He just is. Like, De Bruyne just is the best player in the world. Like, I don't care what anyone says.
This is where Tom puts him in, and then De Bruyne don't start.
Yeah, and Salah scores a hat-trick. That is, on your Salah side, you have got Pep to contend with, which is horrible for fantasy football.
No.
Well, if it's any consolation, I've just put De Bruyne in, and I don't feel bad about it, and I've still got a couple of days left to play with it, and I might have a last-minute change of heart. But one thing I will shout out to is make sure your captains and vice-captains are selected, because I've just noticed that my goalkeeper was my vice-captain.
Yeah, I think the default puts...
If you'd got a clean sheet, you'd be alright.
If you don't change it. I'm trying to see if there's any way I can get Salah in alongside De Bruyne and Haaland, but I think I'm maybe clutching at straws there, trying to get all three.
I try so hard with like to get Kane and Jesus and Haaland in the same.
Yeah. How much are they asking for Nunes? What's Nunes priced at here? 9 million. Nah. Jesus for 8 million is such better value than
that was his one goal of the season in the Community Shield. That'd be it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, hopefully he doesn't score again.
no, that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
No, exactly. But yeah, I think
Well,
it's been interesting. Ooh,
God, I was going to say, in doing this, with changing these changes I've made, putting Ward-Prowse in and putting De Bruyne in, that has freed me up £2 million, so I can actually get rid of Andreas at 4.5 and find a replacement at 6.5, which just gives me a few more options for better players here.
I'm looking here. I could with my budget, I could switch out Diaz and Mitrovic, and instead get in Ward-Prowse and Nunes, which I don't think would be the worst idea. I don't know. It's going to be a lot of fidgeting before Friday. What is the transfer deadline?
Friday.
Friday.
Yeah, because it's Arsenal's early kickoff, aren't they?
Yeah, 6:30 p.m. on Friday is the deadline to have your teams done. So if you are gonna mess about with your teams, make sure you mess about with them before 6:30 on Friday.
Before you
it is easy to get with the Friday night football. That's the thing.
It really genuinely bugs me a little bit every time I've missed the thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, I've got a couple of options here. I've been able to get rid of Andreas, who's not as good as me by the looks of this. But we've got potential options of Tossard at Brighton, Gallagher at Chelsea. I don't know either of them that well, or Benrahma, Odegaard. What do you think?
Odegaard could have a good season. I think Odegaard might have an half-decent season. I wouldn't be confident in saying he'll have a great season, but
Gallagher at Chelsea. What's his position? I don't know him much.
He's the one who was on loan at Crystal Palace last season. It just depends on how much game time he gets. Conor Gallagher, he had a good sort of opening 4 months maybe for Palace, and then didn't really do much towards the end of the season. He scored the second at the Etihad when Palace beat us. He's a good player, but it is just how much game time he gets. That's to be seen. Right,
okay, so I've made some changes and I've made myself feel a little bit better by getting rid of a United player and a Liverpool player out of my squad. I've made sure my goalkeeper's not vice captain. I think that's a really productive fantasy football chat. I'm happy with that.
Well worth our time. Steve's had enough. He's off. He's said, you know what?
Well, he'll be happy with the lad that lives down there. I just put Tossard in over Tossard. Fucking hell, I hope he's better than Tossard.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
I've just put him on over Andreas because that's. I've got no go back now. If I want to get Salah back in, I'm going to have to get De Bruyne out again. So I think I'm pretty committed with this. Right, let's leave it there, Tom.
Lovely stuff.
Are we going to have an Inter Manchester is Blue admin competition to see who gets highest and lowest? We're going to have to. We're going to have a big punishment for whoever comes last as well. We're going to have something. What I'll do is I will create a private league for us, and I think we need to do something along the lines of loser, last person wears a United shirt for a day. United shirt on stream would be the absolute hits of my life. I reckon something like that has to be done though. I don't know where I would source one from, to be honest. I was going to say I don't know who's funding the United shirt, but we can figure that out at a later date. I'm sure I could find 20 quid for a knocked off one to see you wear it for a couple of hours. United shirt on the next on the next, if we ever have a Manchester is Blue admin meet up, out for a drink and the loser has to wear a United shirt whilst we're out. That'd be a harsh one. I'd hate that so much. But I feel something like that's good fun. Okay. We'll get on this. We'll get on this. We'll wait and see. Smash it. Great talking to you, pal. See you soon. Have a good night. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you later, guys.